The Cheeseboy 628 Show, starring Cheeseboy 628.
Hey YouTube, what's going on? This is Cheeseboy628 here today, giving you an OU tier Wi-Fi battle. Now you know my team by now, and I was actually going to change up the teams this week, but I saw some hate comments on Lapras. But before we get into that, in case you don't know about the team, got that Eviolite, Dusclops, Banded Talonflame, Scarf Garchomp, Mega Mawile, Physical Defensive Tentacruel, and freaking Dragon Dance Lapras. Now before I talk more about this Lapras hate, looking at my opponent's team, he has a ton of threats. Talonflame's a threat, Garchomp's a threat, freaking Genesect I don't even know about too much in Wi-Fi, so that's going to be a threat since I'm not prepared for it. Raikou is able to hit half of my team super effectively with a Stab, T-Bolt, or Volt Switch, so I have to worry about that, and then he has a very bulky defensive core of Melodic and Goodra. So anyway, as I was saying, Lapras is a threat and people are just not giving it enough for What is that?
I stopped taking this seriously the moment I heard Lapras as a threat.
Oh well, is that so? Well then, let's get right into the battle. So I just started with my Dusclops because I want to get a burn on something, and I'm really bulky being in a Eviolite Dusclops, but of course he's got to start with his Talonflame. And I am specially defensive, so I'm not going to take this Brave Bird too well, although I do live with reasonable HP, and I am just going to go for the Pain Split to scout out how much damage that I'm going to take. Unfortunately, I don't get too much back, but I don't really know what to do necessarily here because he could just keep Brave Birding all he wants. And so with the Brave Bird plus Life Orb plus Curse damage, there's going to be a ton of recoil on him, but it turns out he brings in his Garchomp, and he's just going to go for the Crunch next turn, not letting me be able to Pain Split. So I'm going to go down, and I could have went for the Shadow Sneak to get a bit of extra damage, but I don't think it really would have been worth it in the end since Dusclops doesn't have amazing attack at all. So here I have the opportunity to go into my Mawile, get the Intimidate off, and I'm just really hoping that he's choiced because otherwise that EQ is still going to hurt at -1. But here I'm going to Mega Evolve while he does switch out to his Genesect, and I'm able to go for the Swords Dance. So now I'm extremely threatening, but I make a very weird play here and I want to explain. Everywhere I see they talk about a shiny Genesect, they talk about it being the E-Speed Shift Gear set, so I don't go for the Sucker Punch, but he just straight up goes for the Flamethrower and takes me out, and that was just a huge misplay on my part. I thought he was just going to keep going for E-Speeds until I eventually die, but obviously that is not the case, so I am down my Mega Pokemon. His Genesect is still in really good health, and I just don't know where to go from here. But I am going to go into my Talonflame now and hope just to get a nice Brave Bird off. So being banded, I'm pretty sure this Genesect isn't going to live, and he's going to switch out anywhere to preserve it, of course, and he's going to go into his Melodic, which is usually a special wall, so I'm thinking it's probably a 2-hit KO. But I'm going to go for the U-turn, predicting him to switch out, of course. So I am going to go into my Tentacruel here. All I can really do here is get up my Toxic Spikes. I want a bit of residual. A lot of his team is somewhat grounded and weak to poison for toxic purposes, so I am going to go for it. And there's not really too much this Genesect can do to me, right? I mean, he might have T-Bolt. Okay, he has T-Bolt. And it's definitely a guarantee to a KO since I am physically defensive, but I don't really have the biggest worries. I don't really need this Tentacruel. But I am going to preserve it as it is my physical wall. I'm going to go into my Garchomp because I think he's probably choiced. Probably choice Scarf. And I'm going to go for the Dragon Claw, predicting the switch. And he goes for the Ice Beam. He is probably Expert Belt, and I'm like, okay, I'm in an awful position now. I lost my Scarf Garchomp. I lost my Mega Mawile. All I can do now, go into Talonflame, no regrets, press Brave Bird. Gotta do a ton of damage to that thing. So now he's going to bring in his own Talonflame, and this is where it starts to get momentum in my favor. I risk a potential speed tie, I do outspeed, and I take out his Talonflame. So this is amazing for me. That was a huge threat otherwise. He brings in his Goodra now. Goodra is a special wall, sir, and definitely does not have superb physical defense. So you are not going to eat up this Brave Bird, and in fact just go down in one hit. That is the end of Goodra. I was able to take out half of his team with his Talonflame. This is amazing, doing a ton of work. So now he's going to bring in his Melodic, and he is poisoned, but still I don't want to go for the Brave Bird, especially since Marvel Scale, and I could just go into Tentacle to stall it out a little bit. So here it's going to be a tad stalled because he's going to go for Hydro Pumps, I'm going to go for Scald, and eventually I'm going to figure out that he does have the Recover, so I definitely know this is definitely a losing battle for me. At this point, I feel like there's nothing left that I have to actually touch Melodic, especially with Marvel Scale boosted now, and he has the correct poison where he won't die of residual damage eventually. especially with the recover combination, because with Marvel Scale all he's doing is losing 12% each time. It's not increasing at all. So he's pretty much in the ideal position for his melodic here, and eventually he even shows me the mirror coat, so that's kind of unique on this set. It's probably pretty effective, to be honest, because it is a special wall, but funny enough, it doesn't do enough damage to take out my Tentacruel. But finally, after a forever and a half, and I do get a crit here, which isn't necessarily super important, but it is enough residual where he's at half health and he's able to take out my Tentacruel. So unfortunately there's no way to recover from here. I lost most of my pokes and, well, let the hate continue. I guess Lapras really is weak after all.
Lapras is weak.
Lapras can't do anything. Lapras is not a threat.
You know what? I'm tired of these hate comments. You know what, Lapras? Let's show him what we can do.